completed crocheting the belt part of my dress, okay, and I have worked a total of 6 rows with the front post and back post double crochet, which is called the rib stitch. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 rows. Now I have a total of 140 stitches, and the design that I need to make for my skirt needs a multiple of 10. What this means is that 140 is a multiple of 10. Now, if the number of stitches that you have on your project are not a multiple of 10, you need to add those extra stitches in an extra row that you're going to crochet now. Okay, you're going to work one row with only one double crochet with regular double crochet, no front post or back posts, and you're going to add the extra stitches that you need. Let's see, for example, instead of 140, if I had 138 stitches, okay, because I need 2 extra stitches to reach 140, I would divide my stitches by 2, and I would see that I have that 138 divided by 2 is 69. This means that starting to crochet from the beginning to the 69th stitch, I would add 1 extra stitch in that 69th, okay? I would work 2 double crochet in the same stitch. And then again, start counting from the beginning 1 through 69. In the 69th stitch again, I would add an extra stitch to work an increase. So 2 double crochet in the same stitch, okay? If you're missing 4 stitches, you would divide the total number of stitches that you have, okay? If you're missing, since I have 140 now, this is a number that I'm using, okay? So if I had 136 stitches and I needed 140, for example, we want to go to the closest multiple of 10. So if I had 136 stitches, this means that I need 4 extra stitches to reach 140. So I would divide the number of stitches that I have, the 136, by 4, and the results that I have, if it's a decimal, doesn't matter, you would crochet 1 through that number, and in the number that you had as a result from the division, you would add in that stitch an extra double crochet. So it's not hard, but what you need to do is to crochet your increases symmetrically if possible throughout your project, because if you add all of the stitches that you need in the beginning or in the end of your row, it wouldn't look nice. It will look like a shell and your project will look a mess. So you want to spread out the increases to get the correct number of stitches. Okay, so I have 140, so it is a multiple of 10, so I can continue with my work. So after my slip stitch, I have worked a chain 1, so I'm going to work 2 more chains, and at this point I did not turn the work. I'm still working in the same direction, okay? I'm going to start turning from the next row. So the 3 chains count as my first double crochet. So in the same stitch as the slip stitch, I'm going to work 1 more double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet in the same stitch. 1, same stitch, 2. So in this row, the little shells that I'm working are going to be made with 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. Now, skip 5, and because I did not turn my work, the loop that belongs to each stitch is on the top right over here. So I want to go into the 5th stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put your hook in the 5th stitch and work again. Oops, sorry. After the shell, I want to chain 1, okay? So always after your shell, chain 1, and again count your 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put your hook in the 5th stitch and work 2 double crochet. 1, 2, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet in the same stitch. 1, 2. Again, chain 1 after you finish your shell, and go ahead and find your 5th stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, again work 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet in the same stitch. 1, 2. So this is how it looks at this point. So always chain 1 after you finish your shell, and always work in every 5th stitch, okay? Once I reach back here in the end, I'm going to stop somewhere over here, and then I will have my 5 extra stitches, my 5 last stitches left. I'm going to turn my video to see how to finish the first row of the skirt and how to start the second one. I have completed crocheting all around my shell in every 5th stitch. Now I have 5 stitches left in the end. I have worked 1 chain after my last shell, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work a slip stitch in the first stitch for this row, which is the chain 3, so the 3rd chain counting from the bottom to the top, and work your slip stitch. Now from here on we are going to be turning our work in every row. So I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn my work. Now, please be aware that we are going to be starting our rows in 2 different ways. When the first stitch is the shell, like this one, we have over here the 2 double crochet, chain 2 to double crochet. The way that you're going to start is going to be the same exact way that we're going to do now. You're going to put your hook under the chain 1 and you're going to work a slip stitch. Slip stitch in the first double crochet, slip stitch in the second double crochet, and slip stitch under the chain 2 space. So I have worked a total of 4 slip stitches, and I'm doing this up until I reach the chain 2 space. Now I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to work 1 more double crochet under the same chain space, 2 double crochet, 2 chains, and 2 double crochet under the same chain space. So in my first chain 2 space, I worked a shell again. Now, from here on, in the 1 stitch, you're going to be working a shell like this one. And in the second stitch, in the second shell, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be skipping the first and last stitches, and we're going to be working 1 double crochet in all of the stitches going upwards. In this case, we only have 1 because we're in the beginning. In the chain 2 space, we are always going to be working 2 double crochet, chain 2 to double crochet, and then 1 double crochet in all the stitches going downwards, and we're going to be skipping the last stitch. Again, only 1 double crochet because we're in the beginning. So always we're going to be chaining 1 after every shell that we work. Okay, now going into the next shell, skip the first stitch, put your hook in the second one, and work 1 double crochet. In the chain 2 space, 2 double crochet, 1, 2, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet. And 1 double crochet in all the stitches going downwards, and we're skipping the last. So only 1 stitch we have at this point. Okay, so this is what we're going to have in this from here on. On those stitches that we have worked the shell, the 2 double crochet, chain 2 to double crochet, this is how it's going to be up until we finish the skirt. On this shell where we worked the increase, we're going to keep working increases on those shells up until we finish the skirt, and this will give me a nice wave on the skirt of my dress. Okay, so chain 1 and go ahead on the shell over here in the chain 2 space and only work your small shell, your 2 double crochet, chain 2 to double crochet. Okay, so again, chain 1 since we have completed the set, and go ahead on the next shell and again work the same steps that we did over here. Skip the first double crochet, we always skip it, and starting from the second one, work 1 double crochet in all the stitches going upwards. In this case, we only have 1. On the chain 2 space, work 2 double crochet, 1, 2, chain 2, and 2 double crochet under the same chain space. 1, 2. Okay, and now 1 double crochet in all the stitches going downwards except the last one. Again, in this case we only have 1. Chain 1, skip the last stitch. Okay, again on the next shell over here we're only going to work on the chain 2 space. So 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. And on the next shell, again, you're going to skip the first one. Okay, so after this shell, chain 1. And here you're going to skip the first stitch, work 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Skip the last one, and so on. So you're repeating those 2 steps throughout the whole row around. Okay, once I finish, once I reach my last shell right over here, since I have crocheted correctly, in the last shell I'm going to have the increase, the repetition of the shell that we do over here. Okay, once I reach the spot, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to close the second row for the skirt and how to start the third one. I have completed crocheting all around, and as I mentioned before I turned my video off, since we have crocheted correctly, my last stitch is the shell that's going to be increased in every row. Okay, and because we work a chain 1 after every set, I have worked 1 chain after the last one as well. Count the 3rd chain from the bottom to the top and work your slip stitch. Now chain 1 and turn your work to start the 3rd row of our dress. Now, every time the beginning of the row is the big shell, the one that we increase, you're going to start in the same exact way as we're going to do now. So we're going to work 1 slip stitch under the chain 1, 1 slip stitch in the first double crochet, and 1 slip stitch in the second double crochet. So we have worked a total of 3 slip stitches, and this is how you're always going to be starting the rows that start with the big shell. And the reason that we work slip stitches up until the second stitch is because we always leave the first one without crocheting into. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3, which counts as the first double crochet, okay, on top of this stitch over here. Work 1 double crochet on top of the next double crochet. In the chain 2 space, always work 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 2 double crochet, and 1 double crochet in every stitch going downwards except the last one. So 1 double crochet in the first stitch, 1 double crochet in the second stitch, and because we have completed crocheting on this set, chain 1. Okay, so the first and last stitch we never crochet. The next shell is the small one, so 2 double crochet, 1, 2, chain 2, and 2 double crochet under the same chain space, 1 and 2. Chain 1, and now the next stitch is the big shell where we always form increases. Always skip the first stitch, and starting from the second one I'm going to work 2 double crochet, 1, next stitch 2, and in the center always work 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet under the same space. And I'm going to work 1 double crochet in every stitch going downwards. So 1, next stitch 2, and the last one we never crochet, chain 1 and go into the next shell and so on. So this is how this row is going to go. So in every new row The big shell, the one that we always are going to be forming, increases in every row. Okay, in the previous row we had one stitch and then the increase in the center. In this row we have 2 double crochet and then the center increase. Okay, in the next row we're going to have 3 double crochet and then the center increase, and 4 double crochet and the center increase. So in every new row we're going to have an extra double crochet when we go upwards and an extra one going downwards. Okay, so since the first stitch is my big shell, this means that the last stitch as we go around is going to be the small shell right over here. Once I finish row 3, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to close the row and how to start the 4th row, and then we're going to continue off camera because the steps up until we complete the dress are going to be similar. I've completed crocheting all around, and because I always work a chain 1 after every set, I work one after the last one as well. Now put your hook in the first stitch of the row, so counting from the bottom to the top, put your hook in the 3rd chain and work a slip stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. Now, if you recall, we're going to work the same exact steps to start the row with as we did down here, where the beginning of the row was my small shell. Okay, so what we did was we worked 4 slip stitches, 1 under the chain 1 space, 1 in the first double crochet, so 2 in the next stitch, 3, and under the chain 2 space, 4. Okay, so I'm moving forward my work. So now chain 3, 1, 2, 3, which is my first double crochet, 1 double crochet, chain 2, then 2 more double crochet under the same chain space. Okay, we have completed this step, so chain 1, and now we're going to crochet on top of the big shell, the one that we work our increases. So as always, skip the first stitch, starting from the second one, work 1 double crochet in each stitch going upwards. So we're going to work 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. In the chain 2 space, work always 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 more stitches, 1 and 2, and 3 double crochet going downwards, 1, 2, and 3, and chain 1 since we have completed crocheting on this set. Sorry. And as I mentioned, we always skip the first and last, and look how nice it looks right here where we have started to working our increases. Okay, so keep repeating those 2 steps all around, and because I'm afraid that you're going to get confused on how to start the next row, we're going to work the beginning of row 5 together as well, and then we're going to continue off camera. Okay, and see here, the last stitch of this row is the big shell, the one that we work the increases. Once I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on. I've completed crocheting all around. Okay, this is my last shell, and because we always work a chain 1 after every set, we do it in the end as well. And as always, I'm going to work a slip stitch on the first stitch of the row, which is the 3rd chain counting from the bottom to the top, slip stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. So what I want to do now is I want to show how to start the row again when you have the big shell. As we did down here, again I'm going to have 3 slip stitches. It doesn't matter that the shell is bigger, because we always want to work a slip stitch under the chain 1 on the first and second stitches. Okay, so always when we start with a big shell, we always want to have those 3 slip stitches. So 1 under the chain 1 space, 1 on the first double crochet, because we always skip that one, we never crochet in it, and 1 on the second stitch, and I'm going to chain 3. Now those 3 double crochet are my first stitch on the second double crochet right here, and I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch going upwards. So 2, 3, and 4. So basically this is what I wanted to show, okay, how to start the row. So in this row we're going to have 4 stitches going upwards, the increase in the center, and 4 stitches going downwards. And on the small shell we always work the same steps. Okay, so this is how you always start the row when you are on the bigger shell. And this is how our dress looks like at this point. Okay, my work has started to form a wave. This is how it's supposed to be, because in every row on this shell we always work increases, and because we give extra stitches our work starts to wave up. So I'm gonna keep working up until I finish the skirt of my dress. Once I finish, I'm gonna turn my video back on to see how to finish off and how to work some extra things to attach in our dress to make it look better. Okay, so keep working, and once I finish I'm gonna turn my video back on. I have completed crocheting the skirt part of my dress, and as mentioned in the beginning of the video, the total length of my dress at this point for the age that I'm crocheting, for 12 years old, is at 85 centimeters long. Okay, and look how beautiful this skirt looks like when we crochet the increases in every row for the design. And because the design is so beautiful, we're not going to do anything for last row. No picots, no shells, no anything. We want to have this nice perfect design that our skirt has. Okay, so I have worked a total of 24 rows for the skirt, and in the last row, in the 24th row, without counting the stitches that I crochet in the chain 2 space, I have a total of 23 double crochet going downwards and 23 stitches going upwards. Okay, and in order to finish, after your slip stitch, go ahead and chain 1, cut the yarn and fasten off. Now what we're gonna do right here on the back of our dress, we're going to crochet with the green color starting down here, and we're going to go upwards around the neckline, and then we're going to come down. Okay, and we want to do that not only to give a nice finishing touch, because we don't want the increases to be showing, but to also give a little color to the top part of our dress as well. And then we're going to crochet 1 or 2 rows of single crochet around the sleeves over here. Okay, and then once we finish doing the sleeves in the back part, we're going to crochet a big bow to attach it right here in the back. Okay, so let's see how to do that. So now I'm going to join my new color. Okay, I'm going to join the green, so I'm going to crochet all around. So go ahead and join right here in the center of the opening, of the V opening of the bag. Okay, and right here where these are the 2 chains that I was starting my row with. So right here, attach the new color. Grab the yarn, pull it through the stitch, chain 1, and right in the same stitch work your first single crochet. And I'm going to turn to the side, so I'm going to keep working going upwards. Okay, and I have mentioned on other videos as well that when we crochet horizontally on top of double crochet, we need a total of 2 stitches to cover the distance of the double crochet. Okay, so what I mean is this right over here. So in one row we're going to have the chains as our first stitch, as we have over here. In the next row we will have the double crochet as the first stitch, then the 2 chains, then the double crochet, and so on. When I have the 2 chains, I want to work a single crochet in the first chain, the one that the double crochet is crocheted into, and right next into the second chain. When I have the double crochet in front of me, I want to work one single crochet on the top of the stitch and one single crochet in the bottom of the stitch. So it's very important when you crochet to understand the stitches that you have in front of you. Okay, so right here I have my 2 chains. This is the first one, the one that the double crochet is crocheted into, and this right here is the second one. So I want to crochet in both of those chains. The next stitch is my double crochet, so I want to work one single crochet on the top of the stitch and one single crochet in the bottom of the stitch. Then I have my 2 chains, one in the first one, the one that the double crochet is crocheted into, and one in the second one, and so on. Okay, so let me do this so it's easier for you to see. And as I'm crocheting, I am also carrying this yarn with me, so I won't have to weave it in the end. So I'm crocheting that yarn as I go through. So let's start. This right here is the first chain, so one single crochet and one in the second chain, right in here. And you want to crochet in the stitch, not under it. Then I have the top of the double crochet, the bottom of the double crochet, then again I have the first chain right over here, and then right next to it I have the next chain, the second chain. Then I have the top of the double crochet. Then I have the bottom of the double crochet. Then I have the first chain, and then I have the second chain. Okay, then I have the top of the double crochet. Then I have the bottom of the double crochet. So look what a nice result we have right here in the back. So keep working, going upwards. Okay, and once you finish and you reach right here in the edge, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to crochet around the neckline. I have completed crocheting going upwards, and I zoomed out so you can see how we're crocheting and how our project is supposed to look like. I have worked a total of 65 single crochet going upwards, and the last stitch in which I crocheted into is in the first row of double crochet that we worked for the top part of our dress. Okay, so this is where I worked my last 2 stitches on this last double crochet. So now I'm going to zoom in so you can see better what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do now is in the same stitch where I worked my last single crochet, just to give it a nice curve, and just so my a nice corner, and just so my work does not curve inwards, I'm going to work one more single crochet in the same stitch, and I'm going to work one single crochet in all the chains, because this right here is the chains that we started our project with. So in the leftover loops, I'm going to work my single crochet now. Starting from the first chain right in here, work one single crochet. In the next chain where we work our increases, again, one single crochet. Now, if you're afraid that you're going to miss your stitches, what you can do is you can align the stitch. So this is the double crochet. Right beneath it is the chain that I want to put my hook into. Next stitch, it's this double crochet, align, so right in here is my chain. Again, the next double crochet is here, align, and this down here is the chain to work my single crochet. So keep working one single crochet in every chain across. Okay. So keep working one single crochet in every stitch. Even in the stitches that we worked the increases in the first row, again, only one single crochet. Okay, keep working one single crochet across. Again, one single crochet here that we worked the increase, and then one single crochet to finish the row, right here, the neckline. So the last two single crochet that you're going to work for the neckline is the increase right over here, and this applies to all sizes because we start in the same exact way for all sizes. Okay, the second before last single crochet will be right here in the increase, and the last single crochet is this chain right next to it, right in here. Once I reach this spot over here, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to continue going downwards. So we have worked around our neckline, and I'm zooming out just so you can see where we're crocheting and how our project is being formed. And because I have mentioned other videos as well, I want all of my projects to be able to be crocheted even by beginners. So I want everyone to understand what we're doing. So far we have crocheted going upwards, and we crocheted around the neckline. So what we're going to do now is we are going to crochet going downwards, okay, to finish the back part and then to crochet the sleeves. So let me zoom in so we can see easier the steps that I'm going to be doing. Okay, so what I want to do now is in the very same stitch that I worked my last single crochet, and as I mentioned before I turned my video off, the second before last single crochet would be in the stitch with the increase, and right next to it will be my last single crochet for the neckline. Now in the same stitch that I worked for the neckline, I'm going to put my hook to work one more single crochet, again to form the corner of my project. Now going downwards, my stitches are going to be a little different. When we were going upwards, first we would see the top part of the double crochet, and then we were seeing the bottom part of the double crochet. Now it's opposite. First we have the bottom part of the double crochet and then the top part. And when we are crocheting on the chains, when we were going upwards, first we were seeing the chain that the double crochet was crocheted into, and then the next one. Now when we go downwards, first we will meet the first chain and then the second one where the double crochet was crocheted into, okay? So again, I have my two chains, so one single crochet on the first one, one single crochet in the second one. Now the bottom part of the double crochet, the top part of the double crochet, one single crochet down here, one single crochet up here, then the first chain and the second chain in the one where the double crochet was crocheted into. Okay, so first one single crochet in the first chain, and then one single crochet in the second chain, then one single crochet in the bottom of the double crochet, one single crochet on the top of the double crochet, on the top of the stitch, then one single crochet in the first chain, one single crochet in the second chain. Okay, so keep working two single crochet on top of every stitch, so 2 stitches on top of the double crochet, 2 stitches on the chains, okay, going downwards. And once I reach this spot over here where the last stitch that I'm going to crochet into will be the bottom part of the double crochet and then the top part, right in here my last double crochet will fall into, my last single crochet, sorry. I'm going to turn my video back on to close the row together and to start crocheting around the sleeves. I have completed crocheting all around. We finished going downwards. Okay, look what a beautiful results we have on the back of our project. Now what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to work a slip stitch right here on the first single crochet of this row. Okay, slip stitch, chain 1, cut the yarn and fasten off. Okay, so we finished crocheting all around. Now we're going to see how to crochet around the sleeves. Now we're going to start crocheting around our sleeve, and I want you to make sure that your project is on the good side where, well, it should be on the good side since we worked around the row, around the neckline and the back, the V opening. And we want to attach the yarn down here under the arm. Okay, so just wanted to show where we would join, and I'm going to zoom in to see the steps for the sleeve. So what I'm going to do is I am going to attach my yarn down here in the center in the underarm, grab the yarn, pull it through the stitch, chain 1, and put your hook in the same exact stitch and work a single crochet. Now what I want you to do is super easy. Now we're crocheting 1 single crochet in every double crochet around. So the next stitch is right over here, and work a single crochet. On the next stitch, work 1 single crochet. And again, I'm carrying along this piece of yarn so I won't have to weave it in the end. Okay, on the next double crochet, work a single crochet on the next stitch, single crochet on the next stitch. Okay, and keep working 1 single crochet all around your sleeve. Once I come back down here, this double crochet will be my last stitch. Once I finish crocheting, I'm going to turn my video back on. I completed crocheting all around. I have a total of 56 single crochet. Okay, and now I'm going to put my hook on the first single crochet of the row and work a slip stitch, and see how the gap closed over here. Chain 1, and let's go for a second and last row. Put your hook in the very same stitch that we just worked the slip stitch and work the first single crochet, next stitch, 2, 3, and keep working 1 single crochet all around for a total of 56 stitches, and the last single crochet will be this one over here. I have completed crocheting my 2 rows of single crochet all around, second row with 56 stitches as well. And now in order to finish, put your hook on the first single crochet of the row, slip stitch, chain 1, cut the yarn and fasten off. Okay, now in the same exact way, go ahead onto the second sleeve, on the other sleeve, attach the yarn down here in the underarm in the center, okay, and work 56 stitches, 2 rows off camera. Once I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to work the bow to finish our dress. I completed crocheting the other sleeve as well, and at this point our dress is ready. This is how it's going to look in the front. Okay, from the top going to the bottom, look what a beautiful result we have on the skirt. So our dress is ready. Now what we're going to do is we're going to crochet the bow for the back, and I did a little testing yesterday because the back part seemed a little empty, so I crocheted a little ruffle to attach it right here along, going downwards on the V opening, and I thought that it gave a very nice result on our project. And it's very simple. All you need is the total number of single crochet that you had for the back. We had 65 here, and then work 2 triple crochet in each single crochet. So first we're going to see how to do the ruffle, and then we're going to see how to do the bow. And this is how the ruffle is going to look like. And even though we have the same amount of single crochet, because we're working the increases, See how it's bigger when I stretch it out? So we're gonna see how to pin it on here and then how to sew it on our dress. So let's see how to make the ruffle. Okay, so now let's see how to crochet the ruffle. And as I mentioned, we want the number of chains, we want the number of stitches to have of single crochet to be the same amount of stitches as the ones as I was going upwards. I had 65 on my project, so I would make 66 chains in order to have 65 single crochet in the first row. But because I do not need to work all those 60 chains to show you how to crochet it, I'm only going to crochet 10. And so let's say you had 35 single crochet going upwards, you would need 36 chains because we always need one more chain than the stitches that we need in the first row. So chain 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And let's see now that those 10 stitches, those 10 chains are my 66. Starting row 1, skip the first chain and start from the second one and work one single crochet. So 1, 2, we're working one single crochet in each chain across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and my last stitch 9. So those 9 single crochet would be my 65. Okay, now the second and last row we're going to work triple crochet. This means that when we start a row with triple crochet, 4 chains count as a triple crochet, okay, when we start a row. But because I don't want a big gap to be formed in the beginning, I'm only going to start with 3 chains. 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. Now in the first and last stitch I'm only going to work 1 triple crochet, and on all the rest of the stitches I'm going to work 2 triple crochet in each stitch to form the ruffle. So in order to work a triple crochet, yarn over twice, skip the first stitch because the chain 3 counts as the first stitch, put your hook in the second one and work 2 triple crochet. Okay, sorry. So yarn over twice. Now when we work a triple crochet, put your hook in your stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through the stitch, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, the next 2 loops, and the last 2 loops. And this is how to form a triple crochet. Again, yarn over twice, put your hook in the same stitch. Okay, grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops, the next 2 loops, and the last 2 loops. So we're always working 2 stitches in every stitch. So yarn over twice, go ahead into the next stitch, okay, and work a triple crochet, and 1 more stitch in the same stitch. Yarn over twice, put your hook in the next stitch, 1, same stitch, 2, yarn over twice, next stitch, to work the first triple crochet, yarn over twice, and work the second one in the same stitch. Yarn over twice, put your hook in the next stitch, okay, 1, same stitch, 2, yarn over twice, next stitch, 1, same stitch, 2. Again, yarn over twice, and this is the second before the last stitch. Work the last 2 triple crochet in the same stitch, okay, and in the last stitch of the row I'm going to work only 1 triple crochet. So there's no particular rule for this, but I like my beginning and end to be with only one stitch. If you like to have 2 triple crochet in the beginning and in the end, you can go ahead and do it. Now, in order to close, chain 1, get a pretty long tail, cut the yarn and fasten off. Now see how we have a little arch over here? This forms because of the increases that we work in every stitch. And not only are you going to have an arch, you're going to have a curl. This is how your work is going to look like because we work 2 stitches in every stitch, okay? Now we need 2 of these, and now I'm going to show you how to attach it on the project and how to sew it. Okay, so now we're going to attach the ruffle. The one side I have already done because I was testing it. So what I want to do, what I want you to be aware of is that the one ruffle, I want my triple crochet to be on the good side. So the one ruffle, the yarn that you're going to, the tail that you're going to leave to weave in is going to be on the top. And on the other piece, the yarn that you have left to weave, to sew over here the tail, it's going to be on the bottom. Okay, so what I want you to do is take the dress and attach it firstly down here, see, to make this semicircle. And I know some of you sew, so you're going to do this better than I'm doing. And when you have the piece in front of you, it's going to be easier to attach the pieces on the dress. Now, straighten it out, and when I say straighten out, I don't mean to straighten out the ruffles. I want the whole thing to not be twisting, okay? I don't want it to be like this and attach it. I want my stitches to be straight. Straight, straight, straight. And go ahead up here on the top before the corner and attach with another pin over here. And now, as best as you can, go ahead and pin the piece down on the dress. It's a little looser than the stitches on the dress, but that's okay because we're fixing this while pinning it down, okay? Okay, and here we go, and it's ready. Okay, now let's see how we're going to sew it on our project. I've sewn the one side already going downwards. Now we're going to do together the left side going upwards. Well, the process is going to be exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the side. And I'm going to zoom in so it's easier for you to see the steps that I'm working. Well, the process is very, very simple. Okay, so right here is the tail that we left, so just sew down here so it stays and it's not, you know, flying around in the end. Okay, and now bring the yarn down to start right here in the corner. And now what I want you to do, as best as possible, we want to take the needle from the top, okay, to the bottom, and then come back out. And if possible, we want to do it in every stitch, going from the one stitch, come out in the next one, the best you can. And hold your edges and tighten up. Okay, so let me take out the pin. Okay, next stitch, take your needle down and bring it back out in the next stitch. Okay, again, next stitch, take your needle down and bring it back out in the next stitch. Now hold your corner and tighten up the yarn. Okay, keep sewing in the same exact way, going upwards. Once I finish up here, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how this side looks completed and how we're going to make the bow. I have completed sewing the whole side and this is how it looks. Okay, now up here in the end, once you finish the corner, just take your yarn to the back so you can weave it in, but also sew up here in the center of the first triple crochet just to keep it down so it's not flying around in the beginning. And make sure you have held your corners and tighten up the yarn. Okay, now in the back over here, just make a few knots to secure and then weave in the end. Okay, sorry for the weird noises, it's the store that's right beneath my house. Okay, so sorry for the noises. Okay, now take it a second time just to be more secure and go ahead and weave in the yarn back here in the loops of the stitches of the single crochet. Okay, now let's see how to create the bow. I've completed sewing both sides and look what a beautiful result it gave on my dress. Now please make sure that right here on the top, make sure that you sew the corners carefully on here just so it's not flying around. Okay, same thing on both sides right here, just so the ruffle is not flying around up here in the beginning, just so you have the best possible result. Now you can leave it as it is if you prefer, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a big bow to attach it on the back. And well, here's how it's going to look. I've made it the biggest part. Okay, look how beautiful it's going to look back here with this big bow on the back of the dress. I think the results will be amazing. Okay, so let's see how to make the bow step by step. Now let's crochet our bow. And I have started with a total of 60 chains and the bow is going to be kind of big. You can adjust the same exact bow in all sizes, but if you want it a tiny bit smaller, you can crochet the same exact stitches as I'm going to make, but with a 3mm crochet hook instead of 4 that I'm crocheting now. Okay, and this will shrink your project a little bit. So now I have worked 60 chains and very carefully sorry, go ahead without your chain twisting. Go ahead and put your hook in the first chain that you crocheted or the last one as you go through the row and work a slip stitch. And now we have a big circle in which we're going to be crocheting around. Okay, now I have mentioned in other projects and in this one as well that a double crochet consists of 3 chains if we crochet in the beginning of the row. But in order to avoid having big holes on my project, I'm only going to chain 2. And this is my first double crochet. And starting from the second one, I'm going to have 60 stitches all around. So starting from the next stitch, 2, next chain, 3, next one, 4, and keep crocheting all around up until the last chain over here for a total of 60 double crochet. I have completed crocheting all around. I have my 60 double crochet. Now please pay attention on how we're going to close and start the new row, because in the same exact way that we're going to do it now, we're going to be doing it for every new row that we finish and the new row that we start. So we started with 2 chains in the beginning of the row. So please count from the bottom to the top and put your hook in that second chain and work a slip stitch. And work your slip stitch. Okay. Now we're going to start the new row, and we are always starting with 2 chains, which count as our first double crochet. Turn your work in every new row. We always want to turn the work to have a straight seam over here. If you do not, you're going to have a diagonal one and it's not going to look nice. And we always start crocheting from the first stitch over here. So 1, next stitch, 2, next one, 3, we're 3 plus the one that we started is 4 double crochet at this point. Okay, so keep crocheting all around for a total of 60 stitches. This is my last stitch over here. Then work a slip stitch in the second chain, counting from the bottom to the top, chain 2, turn your work, 1 double crochet all around, and so on. Okay, so keep working the row, the bow off camera, and once I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how to finish it off. I have completed so far my bow, and I have worked a total of 12 rows. Now let's see the measurements. Okay, I have about 18 centimeters width, and the total height is 11 centimeters. Okay, now you can leave it as it is and just, grab it here in the center. But what I'm going to do, in order to have a nice result in the top and the bottom, we're going to work 1 row of single crochet all around. Okay, so after my slip stitch that I finished the 12th row, chain 1 and only 1, because we're crocheting single crochet now. Okay, and starting from the first stitch, work 60 single crochet all around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and keep crocheting 1 single crochet all around up until the last stitch over here for a total of 60 single crochet. I've completed working my 60 stitches all around. Put your hook in the first single crochet, slip stitch, chain 1, cut the yarn, and fasten off. Okay, so we finished the top part. Now I want to turn around upside down, and I want to crochet on the bottom part as well to have a nice finishing touch. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're crocheting on the leftover loops of the chains that we worked in the beginning. So put your hook, see right here, it's the seam. These are the chains that we're working in the beginning of the rows. Okay, so put your hook right here in the center, and I'm going to attach my yarn. Okay, so take the yarn, pull it through the stitch, chain 1, and put your hook under the same stitch and work 1 single crochet. Okay, now put your hook in the next stitch, and if you're afraid that you're going to miss the loops of the chains, put your hook, align the double crochet, and put your hook right here in the loop. Next stitch, align the double crochet and put your crochet hook in the loop. Align with the stitch and put your hook in the loop right there to work the single crochet. Okay, align and single crochet. So keep working 1 single crochet all around up until the end for a total of 60 stitches again. Once I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on. I've worked my 60 stitches all around. Now put your hook in the first single crochet, slip stitch, chain 1, cut the yarn and fasten off. Now if you're going to close your bow by wrapping around the yarn, you're going to leave a pretty long tail, so it's enough for you to wrap it around to close your bow. Okay, if you are going to crochet a little piece, as I'm going to do now, because I believe that because it's for a dress, it would be better to crochet a little piece and sew it to hold the bow like this. Okay, if you're gonna crochet the piece as I am, just cut the yarn, okay, and fasten off, weaving your ends on the inside of the bow. And now let's see how to crochet the little piece. Now let's crochet our piece, and I've changed to a 3.5mm crochet hook because with the 4mm one I really didn't like the result. I made a little sample. I'm crocheting with a 0.5mm smaller hook, and my stitches are going to be a little smaller and tighter, and this is the results that I want to have on the little piece that's going to be holding my bow. Okay, so 7 chains in total, and now starting from the second chain from the hook, we're going to work 1 single crochet across for a total of 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, 6 single crochet. Now the same way that I'm going to start and finish row 2, that's how you're going to work all of your rows. So chain 1 and turn the work. Starting from the first single crochet, we're going to work 6 stitches across. Again, 1, next stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5, and my last stitch, 6, chain 1, turn the work. Again, starting from the first stitch, work 6 single crochet across. Okay, so I'm going to work off camera, and when I turn my video back on, I'm going to mention how many rows I have in total, the total width and height, so you know how big your piece is going to be, and we're going to see how to tie it around the bow. I have completed crocheting my piece. I have worked a total of 20 rows, and I am at 3 centimeters wide and 10 centimeters long. Okay, now after you finish, chain 1, cut a pretty long tail and fasten off. Now take your bow and cut a piece of yarn, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piece of yarn to close the bow in the center to hold it steady so I can sew the piece that I just made. Okay, so take this piece, which we're going to cut out in the end. Okay, and what I'm going to do, make sure that you center the seams on the back so it doesn't look ugly. We don't want the seam to be showing in the front of our bow. Okay, and just hold it there. Make a knot to hold your bow together. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take the piece that we just crocheted, and we're going to close it up right here in the center. We're going to sew it, and this is how our bow is going to look like. What a beautiful result, right? Okay, so let's do it. So put your needle on the first stitch, okay, on the stitch across. And sew together. Okay, next stitch. So it's super easy to sew. I have 6 stitches, so I need a total of 6 moves to sew it together. Okay, hold the center and tighten up. Now, make sure that you make a few knots right here in the end and then weave in your yarn under the holding that we made right here in the center, okay? Weave in the ends in the back. Now what you want to do is you want to cut the piece of yarn that you sewed, that you made a knot in the beginning, okay? So here we go. Make a few knots, weave it in, and our bow is ready. And if it's not centered, you can go ahead and center it. Then we're going to take our dress, okay, take the dress, put your bow right here in the center and sew it on your dress. And what you want to do is, by sewing the back row, the back piece of your bow, on the last row of single crochet, you want to sew a few stitches up until here, then take your needle down and sew a few stitches on the dress, sew the stitches from the center piece, then again sew pieces from the back of the bow, bring the yarn up, sew some stitches from the bow here, and then the center, make sure you sew it on your dress. Okay, and this is how it's going to look like. Once I finish sewing, I'm going to turn my video back on to see how our beautiful dress looks finally completed.